Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, April 4th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today. Okay. All right. Let's walk through it. Okay. Oh, man. Yep, I'm not surprised to see it. Okay, we've got here the Hangman in its upright in combination with the Three of Swords in its upright. So I keep on getting the message, and here's the thing I keep on wanting to describe to you. If you feel sluggish right now, if you feel a little like energetically low, okay, if you're feeling a little bit of this stillness, if you will, I want to take this opportunity to remind you, as I was saying before we started the podcast, that the difficulty, I feel like everybody always wants to talk about like all excitement going into eclipse cycles. I feel like the care we need to actually put in things is talking about the come down from the eclipse energy, right? The after party. It's like the hangover energy, because it can do a doozy on you, right? Like it's, and I gotta describe this. And we were talking about this yesterday, and we're going to continue to talk about it today. Eclipse energy. The reason we articulate and we say that eclipse energy is chaotic is because it doesn't have characteristics. Right? You can't put a quality or characteristic on eclipses because it's like the volume knob. It's like the volume knob goes up, and depending on what's happening planetarily, it just raises the volume to a certain extent. And, what we're effectively identifying that's happening here. And that's what sometimes can be a little, and that's why I remember, like, this is why you'll note that you probably have told, like, if you follow me through eclipses, I start sounding like a bit of like, I'm going to say like the healthiest broken record possible, because I'm saying, like, I'm trying to say to you, be consistent during the eclipse, be consistent during the eclipse. You're saying to me, should I do this or that? I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. I want you to be consistently you during the eclipse, because, when we feel that, when we feel that amplification point, right? Like it can be very grounding. Like it can help us feel very firm in ourselves. But, often, and we talk about this, something small that would typically not bother us feels like it's enormous. You know what I mean? Feels like it's enormous during eclipse cycles, right? Everything gets amplified. Everything feels like it's a big deal. And it's because like the volume knob's up. The difficulty with coming out of this eclipse cycle is we weren't feeling that great to begin with, because, and I just want to describe this again, before we went, like, as we entered the eclipse, there was a Venus in retrograde occurring. At the exact same point that the eclipse hit, Mercury went into retrograde, right? And it's difficult because, again, we talked about the fact that both of those on their own are sometimes difficult to navigate. Right? It's like a 1-2 punch, because the Venus retrograde, again, helps us clear the internal mirror, but again, distorts our view of the outside, our perception of how others perceive us, right? Or how we perceive ourselves. The Mercury retrograde often helps us identify the difference between a groove and a rut. But in order to do that, it's got to knock us out of our comfort zone a little bit, right? If we fall back in, okay, cool, that's a groove. If we find something new, sweet, it was a rut. You know what I mean? Like Mercury's like, you're welcome. But in combination, those two energies working together, it's rough, because it often feels like situations or circumstances with an over concentration or worry about how others perceive the self, right? And that's why I kept on like saying to you during this cycle, please, 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 please don't take things personally right now. Like, don't take things personally, because like let the lessons from the Leo full moon cycle help us through something. Because when we have those moments, they can feel expansive, right? I keep on saying this is incubation energy. It's beautiful time to build into honoring the self, but also understanding that one is a work in progress, right? And letting go of the aspect or perception of perfection. Remember, the perfection that we strive for is the perfection that is within, not without. Being able to clear that internal mirror, if you will, right? I like me. It's a lot of that, like working through, like, I like me just the way I am kind of energy. But, in those spaces and in those contexts, and that's why I kept on saying, the come down out of this eclipse almost feels worse than the eclipse itself, because, often coming out of the eclipse cycles, because there's so much of that like intensification of energy. It's like, and again, like I sometimes talk about full moon hangovers. You got to have an eclipse hangover, which is like, you can feel like everything feels like a drag. You feel energetically exhausted. You just feel like, ugh. And it's worse because that same feeling, nothing has changed. Like, that's the thing about it. The volumes comes down and nothing has changed. So now it feels like, again, it's working through the energetic come down of the eclipse that feels a bit like a drag, right? And that's why I kept on telling you guys, it's kind of like working into a little bit of like chariot to hermit, because it's working through the space of solace, right? Because, and that's why I keep on getting, it's solace energy, like outside of the energy of the eclipse, because it becomes more quiet. And so being able to kind of like work through that. And I keep on seeing like a lot of that space, like it can feel like a breath of relief, right? Like hopefully I would say hopefully it feels like you navigated a storm. And that's why I was trying to tell you, don't take things personally during the eclipse process, so that you could, like, again, just finding that even keel, being able to stay even keel during the eclipse cycle with Venus in retrograde and the Mercury retrograde is either feeling at the best right now, like even keel energy, like things settling down, right? Worse, feeling like navigating through a shipwreck. Right? Because that's why I was trying to tell you guys, making sure that you weren't taking anything too energetically personally, right? Now this is I keep on hearing working in spaces of consolation and solace right now. Having different impacts depending on where one finds oneself on the frequency cycles. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, I keep on seeing like, like I keep on hearing both it's time or silver linings. Why am I hearing that right now? Because, one of the things that we were talking about or talking through during that eclipse process, and remember, this has a lot to do with, and I'm not surprised to hear the times coming in, because Saturn is also now moving closer towards Aries. We talked a lot about the fact that a lot of the lessons that we navigate as Neptune moves has to do with the fact that the lessons that are often around Neptune have to do with the fact that you can have a lot of depth. You can have a lot of feelings and still move. Right? You can have a lot of feelings and still have progress. But Neptune lessons often are work us through not confusing depth for movement, right? Because, and this is why I keep on getting a lot of these messages are being able to come into a space of honoring one's own progress. Because, and effectively, when we are in the context of recognizing, and this is why I keep on seeing for energy and separation, this may be difficult right now. Having a lot of feelings about something doesn't create clarity, right? When we have a lot of feelings, but it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, those are the feelings that feel like they drag us down, right? And when we're in a space and we have feelings, we have a depth of feelings, but we feel like it's moving us, right? Like that's the messages of Neptune. You can plumb the depths, but you can also sail ships across the energy, right? It allows for that context of saying that you can do both. And especially with Jupiter and Gemini, you know, I keep on hearing that there's a lot of work that's happening for energy and separation, identifying the relationships that show the characteristic of being harmonically integrated. And what is a harmonically integrated relationship? It is a relationship that serves both of those spheres, right? It serves the sphere of having the depth that we often characterize and identify that we seek in a relationship. But you can also make progress upon it, right? You sail ships across it. You move in the directionality that one aspires to go. And so I keep on seeing there's a lot of energy right now in separation, in solace, because the solace is being able to observe what is occurring in those contexts, right? And that's why I see even now, like if there are separations that are occurring in this, it's painful because it might be these moments where someone is identifying or articulating that the depth of feeling does not change the fact, like the need for progress in something, right? The healthy relationship that has the mutual manifestation goals. But I feel like I even see it, and that's the thing about it. I almost see some energy in separation working towards building, even if they're coming into separation at this time, working on healthy separation by being able to articulate and identify the fact that they're moving towards different manifestations, right? They may want different things. You can have a depth of feeling for another and want something different. And again, in the moment and being able to separate in that context does not create trauma because there's a clarity of understanding as to why. While for masculine and feminine energy, that is coming into, and at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of energy coming into connection right now. And what's beautiful about it is I keep on seeing that one half of that is potentially complete. You know, I almost see this situation where a lot of these like relationships that are starting right now during this period, the gift they're giving one another is saying, never will you have to fear from me that things are not moving, that we are not sharing the same direction, right? And that's potentially because I see a lot of energy healing from situations or circumstances where, again, a lot of emotionality, but no clarity as it relates to direction. So there's a lot of this work that I see that is happening here as it relates to building into the context of understanding and working towards what feels like it's clarifying, what feels like it's amplifying. And what's interesting about it is like it's like the energy has the clarity as it relates to where they're going. Now they're seeing how deep it can get. You know what I mean? Like now they're building into the intensity, right? Because I almost see now it's like the breath of relief in feeling the security or stability, in feeling that you share the same direction, that then allows for the opening of the energy building, starting to build the context of the depth. Because I keep on seeing that these are energies that are healing from situations where they used to try to do that in reversal. And this is why it's always dangerous to do that in reversal. Because when you do in reversal, when you build a lot of connection to someone, and it's only after you've gone deep that you suddenly realize you're moving in different directions, that's where the trauma lives, right? Third card and for energy coming into divine union right now, I actually want to draw the third card because I think that this is important. We've got here the Six of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, this is really important because I see that what's happening right now for energy coming into divine union is I keep on hearing there is reminiscing about the past, but only, and I need to point this out, but only to a certain depth. Only to a certain depth. Why is the energy doing that to a certain depth? Because one of the things I'm seeing, and this is what we talk about as it relates to being able to regulate the self, right? Because everything I'm identifying here for the energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that I keep on seeing looks back on the past for directions, but doesn't get lost within it, right? And that's what's beautiful. I told you that's where nostalgia lives. And so this is why the energy right now is healing. I told you with like a lot with Saturn moving up into that space too, right? What is nostalgia, right? Nostalgia is the ability to look back upon something fondly, but not get lost in the gaze towards the past, right? Because when we get lost in the gaze, towards the past, that is what we call regret, right? When we get lost in the gaze of the past, that's what we articulate as regret. But when we're able to look back on the past, but not feel regret, that's what nostalgia is. So it is the fondness that pulls us back, the fondness of the present that pulls the gaze back from the past, right? That's why, like I keep on hearing, like that is why we're able to build into that context of looking at, and when we get further enough from trauma, and this is why it's interesting about it, they're saying even now, like there are moments when we look back, sometimes we have those moments that we look back on something that was difficult to look at, and we finally feel the freedom of being able to look at it, because it's not that it won't ever hurt, but we find the ability to look back upon it in a way that it feels like it's restorational to us. I keep on seeing that that's a lot of that energy that's building into the thankfulness of the context of the present, because when we have thankfulness in the context of the present, it gives us the ability to look back on the past fondly, right? Because we are found in the present. So we look back, we look back, but we don't get lost in the process. Fourth and fifth cards to build into what's going on right now for the energy deep within divine union. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the World card and the Knight of Swords. I like this. This is grist for the mill. Like this is interesting, because remember I told you right now there's a lot of this work that's having to do with like navigating through the mirror of the self. You know, and I keep on hearing like there's a lot of the energy right now that's deep within divine union that is working on the space and being able to like forgive the self, but also to like call others out on like I like it feels like and I need to point this out, like when we're in a space, when we're energetically, like we're in an energetically healthy space, we actually like we appreciate being energetically called out on things to a certain extent, because it allows us the ability to do something even better. And that's why I keep on seeing that there's something really profound and beautiful, because like remember how I was articulating about the fact that being energetically defensive it's not purposeful. It doesn't allow for the context of growing through a process. That often when we're defensive on things that others are trying to help us with, like this is why we sometimes say that it can be really, like have you ever had those moments where you're trying to help someone through something, but they're getting really defensive, and the defensiveness itself becomes its own wall from being able to work through something? When we're like, that's why, and again, utilizing that term, defensiveness is a dampener. It prevents us from understanding things. But when we're brave in the face of things that we are defensive about, we can learn through experiences, right? It's giving me a lot of Sagittarius lessons, because this is something like Sagittarians need to work through this a lot. Because like it's having to deal with working through the ability to be patient and work through frustration. Right. And that's why we kind of see that to a certain extent, there's a lot of lessons coming through, because when we are defensive, but instead of projecting in that moment of defensiveness, we take the note, we work through it, we identify what it is we can change, we evolve in the process. Right. So there's something about that expansion point that feels very profound. Right. But it's heavy, right? It's hard. It's not, it's annoying. It's annoying, but it's worth it. Right. Continuing to get clarification between our Hanged Man and our Three of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? clarification coming through right now. Here's that, I'm telling you, here's that Seven of Pentacles that we just have to be conscientious about right now. Because, and I'm going to just keep on saying this, sometimes coming out of the eclipse cycles is almost more frustrating than being in them. Because, you know, I want to put it this way. Typically, when we're going through an eclipse cycle and like the astrology is good, it's like, oh, good. It feels like things get back to normal. But the thing that you have to understand that's happening right now is nothing's like beyond the fact that Neptune has moved out of Pisces and into Aries, which for some may be creating more feelings of excitability. We're still very much in the same context that we were during the eclipse cycle, except now you may be experiencing a little bit of that weariness or like the eclipse come down that we often like feel during these cycles. So if you're feeling more irritable right now, if you're feeling like you don't have patience for things, you know, I want you, I'm going to say this, these eclipses, we've got like another week or so of them, right? I want you to continue to be patient. The same messages that we were receiving during the eclipse hold. Nothing is nothing has changed in that context, right? If everything you're doing right now is just allowing oneself to build into a context of consistency, taking those notes, incubating, building those plans, good, continue to do so, because I keep on telling you right now that the like the ability to, and this, it's like it's working through grit. And why do I keep on getting that it's working through grit? Because when we're frustrated and we just work through the grit of it, like, I need to point this out, like I keep on getting the same message, which is that a mirror, like, and this is because like this is the message that's coming through with Mercury and Venus in retrograde, right? Grit polishes a mirror. Grit, like, I know this is a lost thing, and I had to go do some investigating on it too. You know, the way you make something shiny, the way you polish something, okay? The way you polish something is you put grit on it. It's the grit you put on something that helps something shine. So I want you to think about that to a certain extent as you're navigating some of the work right now, which is, again, we don't shy away from grit. Right? We don't shy away from it. We work with it. You know, we work with it. We work with it. We work with what we have. We don't wait for the ideal situation. We do what we can with what we have, even if it's not perfect, because often the ability to take what we have when it's not perfect, perfect something, makes it even better, right? So I keep on getting, these are messages of like, don't get upset if there's grit on the mirror right now of the self. You like shine it, like, use it, like let it build the context of what it is that you're working on, right? Add it to the curriculum. I keep on hearing. Continuing to get clarification between our Three of Swords in combination with our Six of double, like, yeah, we got the Six of Pentacles here and the Seven of Pentacles. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the Emperor. And it's very interesting because if you recall, you know, there's a few cards. When we go through some cycles, some cards like literally do not want to stay in the deck. And what we basically got here is, like, I'm telling you, the Knight of Swords, man, the Knight of Swords during this whole eclipse cycle and the aftermath right now, this card, it just, I will go months without getting this card. This card will not stay in the deck right now. But the Emperor has been coming up too. And the thing with the Emperor that I've noticed that is kind of interesting is that the Emperor keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down. So it's going upright and reverse. It's going upright and reverse, which means, like, you know, I'm gonna kind of work through this again, which is, you know, there's an unpredictability that is happening right now, and this was all. Remember what we talked about? This was all the same work that we navigated during the Mars retrograde, right? Because, and I need to stress this, you know, when we are solid within ourselves, what happens outside of ourselves, it doesn't devastate us, it's conditional. You know what I mean? We understand and recognize the changeability of things around us. But when we ourselves, like, see ourselves, like that's what we talk about as it relates to like warrior lessons. Because and this is also a continuation of what we spoke about in the last reading as it relates to doing the work and understanding the space between the ego and the higher self, right? Because, when we desire things, when we want things, we get very fixated on them, right? And in those moments when we insist on something, we often talk about the fact that when we insist on something, we can't see beyond it, right? And the best way to be able to identify the difference of something that we hold on to because it's important versus because we think it's important versus something that is intrinsically important is our own ability of being able to identify and put meaning upon it, right? Because again, the ego, I keep on getting, the ego defies meaning, right? The ego is protective. The ego says, because I want it that way. And that is the limitation point of the energetic ego. And it's often in those moments that we often, like, again, it's the same conversation we're seeing across the frequencies. Sometimes in those moments, and when we're in the space of like working on being adaptable, we will often recognize that we're holding on to something that doesn't feel like it's important, right? It's like when we suddenly realize that something we're holding on to isn't important because we can't identify why we're holding on to it. Like, that's often the space that we begin to find the process of working on surrender, which isn't giving up. It's letting go of things that we insist upon. Now, I keep on seeing that, there's something about some of the energy right now in separation that is articulating upon that, like, I keep on hearing they're sharing sorrow. Right? Why is the new energetic connection sharing sorrow? Because, remember, they're doing the work to disassemble something about the self in order to build something back better, right? But not putting that, not projecting that forward, doing that work from within. So everything we see that's occurring right now for a lot of the energy in separation, being able to share sorrow is important because what happens? Sorrow is a part of a grieving process, right? These are energies that are, again, continuing to articulate to one another the fact that they're not fixated upon the past because they're working through the frustration that often occurs in situations or scenarios. I keep on seeing that what's happening for some of the energy in separation that can be so frustrating is these are some energies in separation that say it's not that there wasn't a path forward. It was not that there wasn't something that could have been solved in a situation. But when one person is focused on a solution and another person is fixated upon a problem, there is an incapability moment that makes it impossible to move forward, right? Because we talked a lot about this in the last reading. It has to do with navigating the tautness, right? And the unhealthy connection that often is not one that feels like we're learning, but it feels like we're teaching each other lessons, right? And the teaching of each other's lessons is the tautness that we talk about, right? It's that moment that feels like you hit that point where there's nothing that you can do, but there's intensity there. And I feel like there's a lot of that energy that's almost expressing and saying to each other, articulating upon those moments as it relates to experiencing the frustration where you're in connection with someone and you suddenly realize or feel like you're pulling in completely opposite directions. And those moments like that is often, they're not traumatizing. They're frustrating because it's off. I keep on hearing the energy saying in separation, it was at that moment, right? They're almost articulating to each other the moment that they recognized and realized that something was not in energetic alignment, right? And those moments, they're painful, right? We store a lot of frustration there. But I keep on seeing the ability to articulate upon something and another person to see us in that space, to be able to identify and know what we're experiencing. Like I can keep on seeing that there's something very restorational that's happening in those moments, specifically and particularly because this is the energy that is saying to one another, you don't need to explain it to me. I already know. I've experienced that too, right? And that's like, again, this is why it feels like there's a lot of solace that's occurring in those spaces, because this is the energy that says in the moment that they express it, rest assured that will never occur between us, right? Like that's the energy that keeps on saying, like, this is why I keep on seeing that these are chariot partnerships, because this is the energy that's saying to one another, like you will never not know where something is headed. We will always be clear as to what that direction is. And in that moment, they're saying that that they are safe to create love with. Continuing to get clarification for energy moving deeper into divine union right now. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, moving deeper into divine union, there's how do I describe this? There's a lot of work that we're identifying that has to do with building the resolutions of the self right now, right? And I can keep on hearing there's something really beautiful about that, because it's saying a lot about the observation of healing from situations or circumstances where either another felt broken or they felt like they accidentally broke something. I keep on hearing this occurring right now, because I keep on saying, I keep on hearing the energy coming into divine union that's saying that their own journey is understanding that the reason we describe healthy energy as moving into discernment is we're much more careful and conscientious with our own energy, right? And that's why I keep on seeing, like, I see a lot of this energy looking back and holding themselves carefully. It feels like inner child healing, because the energy looks back on the past version of self and says, there was a very clumsy person, right? But like that clumsiness, like that is the clumsiness that we often recognize and identify, because when we come into a space of learning, when we understand ourselves more, we can see those moments where we may have been more clumsy, right? And in those clumsy moments, I keep on seeing that this is the energy that like I keep on hearing they own their clumsiness, right? Like they come into those spaces and saying, like, yeah, I understand something now that I did not before, right? And it's in that moment that like they're able to build into the context of doing something in a better way, right? So there's a lot, I keep on hearing there's a lot of building energy that's happening right now, but there's a lot of disassembling at the same time, right? So it's like it's taking, it's working through and taking something apart to be able to build it better going forward. Remember, and if that sounds familiar, that's because this is a lesson of the energy and separation that's now moving up into the energy that's coming into divine union. While for energy deep within divine union right now, drawing another card. Yeah, and here's the thing about it, man, and I got to point this out. The energy right now, and I need to point this out, the energy within divine union is also dealing with that same sense of clumsiness, but it's not coming from inside the self. It's coming from outside the self, right? It's working in the context of recognizing and identifying things outside the self that feel energetically frustrating. And that's why I keep on seeing that, how do I describe this best? When we're working in the context of, like going through our own frustrations, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And we also I keep on hearing, we hold those around us to those standards as well, right? And there's something really important about that path work. There's something really important about recognizing and identifying. And I keep on hearing the difference between stubbornness and adaptability. The difference between something that feels like someone just being inflexible on something for no apparent reason versus someone articulating why something is important. And I keep on seeing that, like, that is the energy that's just utilizing a lot of discernment as it relates to where they're putting their time, effort, and energy to a certain extent, right? It's not easy. But I keep on seeing, like, when we're working in that context, it's not about what's easy, it's about what has meaning. And so I keep on seeing that, like, that is a lot of the energy that's looking for meaning to be able to derive and define what it is that they're moving towards. Continuing to get clarification between our World card and the Knight of Swords. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Wands in its upright. So one of the things that we also want to talk about right now is, and I'm going to tell you, this is the combination of energy that we're still experiencing that can feel so difficult right now, right? This is effectively how the Venus in retrograde makes us feel in combination with the Mercury retrograde, right? Because the Mercury retrograde feels like every communication slows down. Things feel like they're coming to a screeching halt. It feels like things are not working the way that they should. And on top of that, we've got the Venus retrograde, which makes it feels very personal as it occurs. It makes it seem like something feels like it's directed towards you, right? It's like that perception or the distortion of things that are directed towards you. So I'm going to say it again. When we're able to navigate those with a sense of, again, identifying and finding the compassion within the self, we build into the context of having patience for ourselves. We don't feel agitated by working in the space of solitude. We feel fortified by it. So I do feel like it's interesting because the Hermit card isn't out, but it's feeling like a lot of Chariot energy combined with Hermit energy right now. Right? It's a lot. It's like it's working in that space, and it's like it's having to navigate, like I told you, the eclipse energy, which sometimes feels very much like solace energy, but being able to do so in a way that feels restorative to the self. But, and that's why I keep on saying, sometimes this energy is more triggering than being in the eclipse proper, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Emperor energy. One card to clarify. Yeah, I mean, so we've got here our 10 of Cups in its upright. You know, there's a lot, I keep on seeing, there's a lot of work as it relates to recognizing and identifying what feels energetically supportive. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the work right now, especially in separation, I just keep on identifying that there's a lot of the energy in separation right now that is, you know, and I keep on seeing like they're building new relationships from a place that feels calmer than they've ever experienced before. And a little bit of the difficulty that I'm seeing that may be happening in some of these connections that are forming at this time is, if these are situations or circumstances where energy is healing from trauma in the past, they're reorienting themselves to feeling security when nothing is happening, right? Because when we're in emotionally confusing relationships, we start to get worried when things are quiet, right? We start to feed into the anxiety and fear as to what those periods of quiet mean, right? And so I almost see some kind of circumstance here where energy and separation is learning to feel fine again when nothing is happening, because they're not feeling like someone is like, I keep on hearing like directing that nothing at them, or making them have to worry about something that isn't there, right? There's a lot of, I keep on hearing there's a lot of energy healing right now in healthy connection, but learning how to experience solace again. And solace is feeling the comfortability and quiet and not worrying that there's going to be trauma on the other side of the quiet, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, working in that space or working in that capacity, being able to, like, I keep on hearing the energy say it's such a relief to have someone to be able to talk to, because you'll remember that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, these are partnerships that started just a few months ago. Like, this is the energy that we experienced during the Mars retrograde. So a lot of that energy, finding the ability to talk through something that one is working on within the self with a counterpart that does not take it as an accusation or doesn't take it personally, right? The ability to feel, and this is why we heal from feeling defensive, right? Because when we're trying to work through something within ourselves and we make it too much about ourselves and we get too energetically protective, like, we often have those moments or those experiences wherein it becomes impossible to be able to have a productive conversation, if you will, right? But when we have those moments where, like, we just feel like we can, like, I keep on hearing, like, this is the energy that feels like they can get the beauty of being able to get something off of one's chest with a counterpart that does not take that personally, right? Doesn't get defensive within it, but almost like is there to, like, hold space. Like, this is the energy that feels that energetic overwhelm, because that's the energy that says, you know, thank you for thank you for helping me work through something, instead of trying to make it instead of making it about the self, right? Like, this is how I keep on hearing, this is how we hold each other. Sometimes we hold each other's trauma for one another, right? And when we hold each other's trauma, but we don't make it about the self, you know what I mean? Like, that is that moment that feels like we're holding hands, right? Continuing to get clarification for energy deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, there's something really beautiful and profound that's happening there, because, again, it's like, it feels like the energy that knows how to confidently double down, but it's like the doubling down on the self. And that's why I told you, remember I said when, like, you go through eclipse cycles, and it's like, it's about, you can get things off your chest, but making sure that you're intentional about what you get off your chest. Because when you say something and you mean it, you'll say it a million times. You know, like, you'll say it over and over again, because you're like, I cannot stress to you how important this is. You know what I mean? Like, but when you're in that space or in those situations where, you know, like, that's the energy that like, when we have those, and that's why I told you, making sure that you're not, like, projecting your frustration out onto others, because often when we can tell when we've projected our frustration out onto others, we're like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, right? Because, like, it's like those moments that, like, you know, they feel like the context of like when we feel frustrated. So I keep on seeing that this is either energy that is, like, working in the context of re-articulating something that has a lot of meaning to them, or, like, correcting, like I told you, remember I told you there's a little bit of K-turn energy, like, being like, I think you misunderstood what I said. You know what I mean? Like, you remember we were talking yesterday about the K-turn being like, wait. And this is why we're patient, because we're like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. You know what I mean? Like, again, the distortion of the Venus retrograde with the Mercury, reading meaning into things that isn't energetically there, right? Not getting triggered, just being productive through it, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Emperor energy, and that this is the K-turn energy, and the Six of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Yep, there's that seven of there's that seven of wands energy. So I'm going to tell you again something that's happening right now that we just have to be very mindful of. Okay, here we go. I talked about this yesterday. We're going to repeat it. So there's something very funny that's happening right now. Okay, What we have happening right now is we've got Neptune. Okay, I'm going to tell you about this again. We got Neptune. Neptune is the memory bank. Okay, Neptune's the memory bank. Okay, usually back end energy. It's usually the caboose. Okay, it's the caboose. Neptune's the caboose. Okay, so you got the caboose energy, and the caboose is moving forward right now. Okay, Mercury is about ideas. It's about fast moving. Okay, Mercury is the engine, and the engine usually goes forward. The engine is going backwards right now. Okay, so we've got the Mercury retrograde that's going backwards, right? It's moving into Pisces, and we've got Neptune that's moving into Aries, and then we've got Venus that is wound up between them. So I keep on describing this right now as like an astrological K-turn that's happening, which what does that mean? And again, I had to explain this because apparently I'm telling on myself because we only call it K-turns where I'm from. Okay. So a K-turn, how do I describe it? It's not exactly a pivot. It is when you don't have a lot of space to turn around. So it's like a half turn, right? Where it's like you turn something and then you go forward. So there's like a little bit of that. The best way I keep on describing it as a K-turn, because what's happening right now is the long story short of it, it's very easy to misread meaning into things that feels incredibly personal, that another person might not have intended to mean that. Okay? Like, it's very easy. It's very easy to misread things right now. It's very easy to misread meaning into things. So that's why I keep on telling you guys, don't take things personal right now. Lead with compassion. Okay? Ask again. Don't assume, because what may be happening right now with the combination force of the Mercury retrograde going backwards, the Neptune energy going forward, Venus caught up between, is something that has meaning to you, something that has personal meaning to you. Another person may be bringing to you, and you're suddenly energetically triggered by it. And it didn't mean the thing you did, but now here, so that's why I keep on saying to you guys, don't read meaning into things. Just be energetically productive through things right now, okay? Like, lead with compassion, okay? That's the best way I can articulate what we're experiencing. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Wands and it's upright. Like, and here's the thing about it. It's like, like at the and this is like, again, like I said, at the same time, we've also got a little bit of this issue with the fact that we've also got Saturn that's transiting right now as well. Like Saturn's kind of joining this like little gang, like energy right now, all bundled up together. And also, like, to just add to like the little cherry on the cake, things from the past may be feeling like they're reemerging right now. because again, working in this context, the best way I kind of like to describe this has to do with, like, how do I put this best? I'm gonna walk you through what I'm seeing right now across the frequencies. Remembering that we talked about the fact that there's some energy in separation that is building upon the clarity, like the gift that is occurring right now, the clarity in being able to see what an energetic hurdle is, the ability to recognize and identify, like the gift that we're kind of getting right now. Every cycle has a gift. And I keep on saying the gift of being able to find the words to articulate what a difficulty or hurdle is. Like, I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now. Remember when I was saying that the energy was finding the language, like all during that Mars retrograde, the energy's found the language, right? They're able to articulate upon something that is energetically bothering them. They're able to find a way to give voice to it. And they're saying, and like, again, often and that's why they keep on saying it's Renaissance energy, because often when we find words to give voice to our frustration, it doesn't heal it, but it does feel cathartic in being able to talk about it. Like, you know, and so I see even now, and like it has to do, I keep on hearing a lot of the messages have to do with the fact that, and it has to do a lot with trauma. The thing about it is, and I keep on getting, you can't let go of trauma. You can't release trauma. Like the whole reason that trauma is because it is the pain that sticks. You know, trauma is sticky because it is pain that we wish we could remove and it doesn't go anywhere. And I keep on getting like that space that the like I feel like there's something beautiful that's happening right now with a lot of energy that it's not building in the context of trying to get over something. It's literally understanding that the context of trauma is the definition of trauma is something that it's something you never get over. Like that's why it's called trauma. If it was as easy as letting something go, you would let it go. That's why it's called trauma. You can't say I'm trying to let go of trauma, because that is like, that's an oxymoron. If you could let go of it, it wouldn't be trauma. Right? The reason it's trauma is because you can't let go of it. It is the wound that sticks. It's how we live with it. It's like the way we heal from trauma is recognizing and identifying and learning how to live with it. It's learning how to carry it with us. And that's why I keep on hearing that there's a lot of work that's happening right now across the frequencies as it relates to Chiron. Because what do lessons around Chiron teach us? Wounded healer. That, you know, Chiron, the story of Chiron is, again, in Greek mythology, a centaur that was injured, and they never healed from that wound. But in learning to live with the wound, the things that they learned along the way, they became a healer. And this is how we heal, right? We understand and identify what it is that has caused us pain, and via learning how to carry it, we not only learn to love ourselves, but we love others in that same context, right? It is a journey that is shared, and is shared via understanding. And that's why I keep on seeing that there's something very beautiful about the energy and separation right now, because this is an energy that's saying, as they're coming into partnership, I'm sorry, I can't start building with you because I haven't let go of that. This is the energy that meets each other and says, I'll never let go of that because it was important. It had meaning to me. It shaped who I am. I'm changing within it. I will always be changing within it, because I identify that it's not like, healing is not about getting over things. It's learning to live in the condition by which I have experienced a wound, right? So I see even now that there's something about the energy and separation, talking about those wounds, right? Like the ability to talk about, and they're not just they're not forcing each other to talk about it. They're asking each other how they carry it, how they prefer to. Sometimes we say, I'd rather not talk about it. Someone's going, that's okay, that's healthy, right? It doesn't matter, like whatever it is, we honor each other. We honor each other, not enforcing things, but honoring how another aspires their wound to be carried, right? And that's what I keep on seeing. Everything about the energy, and this is why it's chariot partnerships that are coming through right now. And what do chariot partnerships do? Training wheels, slow to start, and utilizing discernment to build into a connection to feel like it's safe to build with, right? While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is a lot of energy I almost feel the energy doing the opposite, being like saying, I'm ready to talk about it. I can see some energy now that's been holding on to something and saying, I'd like to talk to you about something, because often when we're in healthy connection, like the ability to express something that we couldn't express before. I told you that's how nostalgia forms, says I'm ready to look at it, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, a lot of this energy deep within divine union, working in that context, I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy just working to hold and maintain an energetic standard, right? And so for a lot of that energy, like that's a lot of the energy. It's not about talking or not talking. It's recognizing what feels like it is a productive conversation versus a repetitive conversation. And I was hearing like the energy within Divine Union saying they're always available for a productive conversation, but they get energetically exhausted in a repetitive conversation because they're looking for, and again, they're working with Neptune and Saturn. They're looking for they're looking for things that feel like they're they're looking for things that feel like they're progressive. They're very pragmatic right now, deep within Divine Union. As I like almost swallow my hair. All right, can I please get 2 cards to clarify between our 10 of Cups in its upright in combination with our 7 of Wands in its reversal. So many wands today. So many wands. King of Cups, I like that. I like that a lot. Because I told you, and I like the fact that it's a Knight of Cups. Because it is, I keep on hearing something that's happening right now in separation, that's like almost a promise. It's almost a promise that I can almost hear the energy is making as they are building into relationship and deconstructing something to each other, which is, I promise you there's no room here for hurt feelings. And why is the energy building into the context of saying, I promise you there is no room for hurt feelings? Because this is the energy that says, I won't put the hurt feelings in a room. I won't harbor them. I won't hide them from you, right? Often trauma forms when we don't realize that someone is harboring things, right? And when we hold on to hurt feelings, we've talked about this, like that's where we start to dwell. Remember how we talked about the fact that when we hold on to things, we start to dwell, we start to build into a context of bitterness. This is the energy that says, rest assured that if I feel that, like, this is the energy that even here in the space of articulating upon the past and their frustration, this is the energy that says we will be brave with our feelings because we won't hold them back, right? I won't make you ever have to worry that there's something I'm feeling that I'm not communicating, because often trauma is formed when another person, instead of articulating how they feel, pulls back, right? And when someone pulls back when their feelings are hurt, it creates trauma, because then we feel that anxiety when there's solace, when there's quietude, right? We build into a place where we become afraid of quiet because we don't feel the quiet is consoling. We feel that it is pregnant. We feel like it is like it doesn't feel like it feels like doomed, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I keep on hearing this is energy that says, I promise you, you'll never feel doomed. Because when we have the silence and we worry that another person is holding something that they're not telling us that they feel in silence, the silence does not feel blissful. It feels traumatizing. You can wound another person with silence, and often is because the silence is loud. It sounds booming. The quietude, remember, dumb, this is why they're bringing the word dumb up, because the booming dumbness is doom energy, right? So often when we're healing from trauma environments, we are afraid of quietness, of solitude, because if we've experienced something where another person did not communicate their frustrations, but instead felt like they were punishing us with silence, it's the energy that often has to learn how to heal from circumstances where, again, they hear silence, and they hear sirens in the silence, because the sirens in the silence is the feeling of being doomed, because of the memory that someone would sometimes punish you with silence. So that's why I keep on seeing that a lot of this energy is saying to one another, I'm going to promise you that you'll never have to feel doomed with me. That if there's something that I'm feeling, I'm going to express it. I'm not going to leave you wondering if I'm carrying something or making you be worried about the quality or nature of the silence, right? Told you, Chariot energy moving into Hermit energy. Continuing to get clarification, this is a lot of the energy right now coming into Divine Union. And everything I keep on seeing with the energy coming into divine union is, I mean, it's saying to me that there's a lot of that work in recognizing and identifying what feels like like this is the energy that says with you, like this is the energy that says, I feel like this is energy that's healed that. This is energy that's working in that context of feeling like a relief and being able to articulate something to another and having that point of expansion, having that point of understanding. Because often when we talk to another about our difficulties, about our sorrows, and we feel held in that space, we suddenly feel like, again, we feel energetically seen. We feel like everything's possible because this is the energy that says to one another, our job isn't to be perfect. Our job is to recognize that what we're going to do better going forward. And so I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy, it feels resolved and restorational because I see them articulating to each other in a way that they never have before with any other. And even in that moment, I keep on hearing they feel held in that embrace. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, I just keep on seeing a lot of this energy right now, like working through situations. And this is beautiful because this is where I keep on getting a lot of Aries lessons. And it has to do with divine patience, right? And again, this is what it, like, here's the thing. This is often a misunderstanding point with those with Aries placements. It's often misconsidered that Aries lack patience. It's not that Aries lack patience. Aries lack patience for circumstances and situations where they don't see progress, right? If someone is trying to learn how to do something, Aries become the best teacher on the planet. Aries will stay overnight. They will stay nights and weekends because they see the desire in another and they want to rise to the challenge of helping that energy reach their energetic potential, right? And so that is the difference. I keep on seeing that that's a lot of the energy that is working in the context deep within divine union of identifying and recognizing what feels like, I keep on hearing it's working in the context of potential. But this is positive potential, okay? I want to say this is positive potential. This is positive potential because it's not the potential in hoping something is moving in a progressive way. It's potential. Healthy potential is when you see another person's desire to advance upon something and being in the context of also sharing that desire to help them through it, right? And that's why I keep on seeing that it's working through frustrating situations and what is the energy deep within divine union utilizing and doing in those frustrating situations. They're perpetuating a standard to identify potential, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Wands in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, two cards to clarify. I like it. We've got here our Six of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Cups in its reversal. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here because I just want to, like, you know, this here, I'm going to tell you, like, and it's very much the continuation point of what we saw during the eclipse process. And this is what I mean about, like, I keep on getting the message, like, you know, I mean this like very lovingly, but like, don't get too comfortable right now. Like, because like, and the reason I'm saying don't get too comfortable is I want to put it this way. I feel like there's something about everyone acting like being in the space of being on their best behavior, like during eclipse cycles. And then feeling like, oh, good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, good. I don't have to worry anymore. The eclipse is over. And it's like, it's more of the same space of saying like, nothing has changed. Like the volume is effectively energetically the same. So it's very much the same message. You know, don't let yourself get triggered. You know, stay energetically consistent. You know, don't I mean, you should be like this all the time, but I'm just impressing this. like I feel like you should be like this all the time, but I'm just impressing this. Don't make examples be the energetic force of change, because I keep on seeing, like, recognizing, identifying what feels like it's productive versus what feels like it's not right now. It's helping one through. I keep on seeing the difference between frustrating but potentially productive conversations versus energetic distractions, right? Like, versus energetic situations that don't feel like they're like that they're very much like, it's being able to I keep on saying, like, recognizing the difference between a productive conversation and a conversation that just feels like it's moving in circles in some way, shape, or form. Like, that's actually, like, I keep on seeing, like, that's what I'm basically seeing is happening that's helpful right now. It's like identifying the form of a conversation. Be like the moment that we sometimes reach closure, in that point that we just feel exhausted, being like, this is not a new conversation. This is the same conversation we've had. Or the energy that goes, oh, this is different. This is moving somewhere else. This is, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm seeing even now, it's hard to say what direction you're moving in, because that's gonna be different on a case by case basis. Like, that's where we start getting into personal readings. Final card between our Knight of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our Seven of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our Ten of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk a little bit about this, like this heavy energy right now. And here's the thing, like, this is the note that has been, like, wearing on everyone during this cycle, right? Because the combination of the Mercury retrograde in combination with the Venus retrograde is, what does it mean? What like, when we put those together, what do we have? Things breaking in relationality to the distortion of perception. So it's very easy right now to feel like everyone is judging you. Okay? It's very easy right now to feel like others are judging you. But when we're in that space of just allowing for that point of stabilization, like, I keep on hearing, when we're good with ourselves, we don't shirk from another's gaze. I keep on getting, like, that's the thing about it. Like, when we're feeling that sense of being energetically confident with ourselves, and that's why I told you guys, going through this cycle, if you are an individual who puts a lot of focus, if you feel like you put a lot of focus on outside perception, and that's okay, we all need that in some way, this might be a harder time for you, because a lot of that energy right now, it feels very difficult in that way. It's like a lot of that perception of the self, focus upon the self. But when we're able, and this is why we keep on saying that the gift of some of that Leo full moon, being able to navigate something with a sense of compassion for the self, it allows for that place of compassion. It allows for that I keep on saying, like, it allows for, like, I keep on hearing, it's like, what do you do? It's like everything, like, what do you do with a note? Do you take something that's important that you recognize and identify for the self and say, I can move forward from that. I can utilize that in a way that feels energetically productive. But when we're feeling those moments that feel like they're heavy, and we get defensive, we push something back, it creates that amplification point. But, and this is the important thing about this is not about the notes that others have for us. This is about the notes for ourselves, right? When we are in a space that we're not energetically defensive, and we see something that triggers us, we articulate and build upon it. It allows the context by which we can change something. It allows the context by which we can improve ourselves, right? It's like I told you, it is a lot of this work that we're working through right now with this cycle is understanding that grit is a gift, because when we have grit, we can polish. We don't complain that the mirror is dirty. We use the grit to polish the mirror of the self by which we can improve. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, Page of Swords energy. It's not easy energy right now. It's annoying. Like, it's not. It's not easy. I know. It's annoying. And listen, I guarantee right now, you want to say to me right now, Gray, you don't understand. Gray, you don't understand. This person, this whatever they are, I'm like, and here it is. I'm gonna just be here for a minute. I'm gonna be your cosmic mom for a sec. Listen to me. Okay? I mean this with all the love in my heart. I don't care who started it. Okay? I do not care who started it. I don't care who started it. Okay? When someone comes towards you in a way that is unreasonable and you return them back to them, all you've shown them is that all they need to do to bring you into a place of reactivity is just bring the most ridiculous thing to you and you will start acting ridiculous. Okay? It is not about, don't like matching energy is the silliest thing that's ever existed on the planet. Okay? Don't match energy. Be the energetic example. Articulate upon. Don't teach lessons. Be the energetic lesson. Allow for that context by which you can allow for that expansion point. And I know right now, and I already hear it. Like I can hear, but I no buts. Okay? Be the reason why something changed. Don't be the but. Okay? Don't be, if someone's being a butt, don't be a butt too. All right? Be the reason why. All right? Thank you so much. Thank you for being here receiving thank you. That was our daily collective read for today. Thank you for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my website. Please keep in mind, if you're going to book a reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please do both if you'd like to have that reading. Please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I'd encourage you to do that if you'd like to do so. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Justice card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Hangman. I am so excited to teach this class. We're going to go over the symbology of the card, the history of the card. I'm going to work you through spread applications, how to read that card in any direction. I'm also going to work you guys through a very unique spread that'll help you channel the messages of the Hangman into your own readings. And all you need to do if you'd like to become a part of that class program is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Class Library Archive. You will also, now it's not necessary to catch up. I will do my best to give you the insight in terms of what we've studied thus far in each class, but now's a great time to join because you've got a few weeks before we get started on our next class. You could have about 3 classes a week and you would be caught up. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we are studying or have currently studied. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also have access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 12 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in those classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal path and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase those on an individual level per dream or as a package. If you purchase the dream interpretation series, I would encourage you to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again